Attention passengers. This is your co-pilot speaking. Your pilot is black mind, so you are not going blind and there is no power failure. You are merely experiencing the immense blackness of his proximity, and when you hear his voice, you and the cabin will get even darker than you are currently. We will be cruising at the speed equal to light, because the one other thing that travels equally fast is darkness. Your loved ones awaiting your arrival may not recognize you at first sight. This is normal. Simply tell them about the pilot, and they will understand. We will taxi to the runway now, so please buckle up and prepare for a high-speed departure. Thank you for choosing Jet Black Airways, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. We hope you keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Justice forever.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Some and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Let me go ahead and tell y'all right quick. Let me first give shouts out to the Black Treon subscribers. Al X, my most recent one. Shouts out to you for subscribing. He's got a lot to contribute, and that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not talking about financially. He's on the 10. That's the only one that's available now. I froze any further enrollment in the other one, but he's it's 10. That's it, 10 a month. But I mean, there's more knowledge that he has to contribute. I want to give shouts out to the first two, Andre 416 on a free subscription, but it looks like he's been hitting the share button because people are joining. And then Red Falls Black for being the first paid subscriber, for which I gave 1 month free. And shouts out to Bilal, Gregory G, and Ryan for their subscriptions. I also want to give a shout out to S Jacques for coming through on the Cash App and in the emails with the links. And shouts out to Senor Kanga for the links he's been sending. And for the information that he and GD have been contributing about Cabo Verde. It's bad, apparently, in the cities. And it was through them that I learned to tell the South African brothers that going to Cabo Verde, going to Cape Verde is good, it's fine, but you want to avoid the cities looking for somebody with whom to settle or to marry. Go to the countryside. And on my Patreon, on my Black Treon, I talk about more of how to not let people do to other places we might like to go what they've already done to Medellin. Now, I do understand Southeast Asia is different to a certain extent, but it does change. And what some of these demons want to do is go and harvest that changing tendency and channel it into the direction they want, which is we get robbed and drugged and scammed. That's what they want. But I also understand something. I realize that there's a red pill community in Brazil. There's a red pill community in Cape Verde. There's a red pill community in some of the same places we like to go to. And they're saying that they're not being treated well. You got these guys, some guys like to go to Russia, but Russian men are now talking about red pill awareness and how badly they're being treated. In Romania, Romanian men will tell you how badly Romanian women treat them, but if you go into from Western Europe, they treat you better. And so that tells me something. What I learned from that is that a lot of these ladies are following hypergamous notions of who's worthy of a chance. Who's worthy? Well, not the guys from here because they don't have much. And so a lot of these ladies, then they'll give a chance to another guy because of what they perceive that he has, and they actually find it just works out. Of course, the Western woman is largely different. To her, nobody really makes the cut. But that is large part why it is that you see what you see, why you can go into Brazil and they treat you well. And if you marry, they treat you well. But the Brazilian men will complain about the kind of treatment they get. The women are willing to give you a chance, and it works out. They weren't willing to give the local men a chance at all, period. And they also were disrespectful to them. So it can't work out. I'm aware of that. I also want to point out to you guys that I recorded this and opened this up because S Jacques sent the link to me about that kid that fired off shots at New York City police. And he wound up popping, of all people, coincidentally, a Brazilian tourist that was visiting. I want to tell you guys something about that, if I may. I have experience with this sort of mindset. For one, I want you to understand what's really going on with the migrant situation. A lot of the migrants are not Mexican. As a matter of fact, the percentage of Mexicans migrating across the border from Mexico into the U.S. is going down and down and down and down each year. It's been like that for a while. Net migration of Mexicans between the U.S. and Mexico has probably already become a negative on the U.S. side, meaning that there are probably more Mexican citizens leaving the U.S. for Mexico than the reverse. That's actually been a trend for a while. Now, net migration just across the border recently surged to where it is a plus on the U.S. side. But like I said, they're not Mexicans. See, Mexico does not let Guatemalans just go in and enter the country anymore. They stopped that. They said, no, too many of y'all, you're not citizens, you just come in here. And so they pretty much said the same thing to Guatemala that the U.S. has said to Mexico. And they closed the border. But you do have people still going in or sneaking in. Right now, what you have are fewer Salvadorians. You used to have plenty from El Salvador, but now you have fewer Salvadorians. You don't have as many Salvadorians as you used to have. That is because the president, I think his name was Bukele, did a crackdown so severe that if they think you are a gang member, you're sitting in this very large prison complex. And this prison complex was built rather speedily, I might add. So I don't even know if they fully know who's there or not. I mean, I feel bad for those that are not gangsters that are there, because when are they going to get their day in court? I don't know. It's controversial. However, El Salvador's streets and neighborhoods are generally safe. So a lot of people don't feel the need to flee anymore. A lot of them said, I can deal with poverty, but I can't deal with this violence. I'll stay poor if I'm here with my family, but I'll run away and leave any family members who cannot run with me behind because of the violence. I will flee because of that. Look, what I'm getting at is that most of the migrants are coming in and their origins are actually China, the African continent, and Venezuela. Those are actually the major populations that are going through Mexico into the States. The kid that fired off these shots at the cops was a Venezuelan. I'm going to tell you something about the migrants coming in from these busted up parts of the Americas anyway, though, whether they're Mexican or not. If they're fleeing cartels or if they're fleeing violent gangs in Venezuela, I'm going to tell you straight away that the violent ones you're going to see are going to be a profile. They're generally going to be young, middle school and high school ages. Middle school to about the age of 10th grade are going to be where you see the violence. Now, there have been situations where a lot of the students that I taught in the States were Latin American, but they did not want to create any problems for their parents, so they were going to be on their best behavior. But there were also situations where in middle school, they simply did not fib a guck. They wanted to be cholo. And if it drove their parents crazy, so be it. Being cholo was more important than anything else. Matter of fact, quite a few of them had parents that were involved in all kinds of effery. And I've had to tell you guys multiple times, our attitude towards a migrant should be one of individual sympathy. Our attitude towards anybody that either isn't black or says, I know black, whether it's true or not, does not really need to be one of sympathy. If you do sympathize, you don't let them know it. Most of us are going to because we're human, but don't let them know it. I ain't got nothing for you, bro. And if you do help them, you do it in a way that they don't know it was you. Now, you want to know where I got that from? That's actually a Muslim concept. Give, but don't let them know who did it. You know, anonymous benefactors and donors. Yeah, that's actually a Muslim concept, believe it or not. But if you were going to do anything to help an individual, you don't even tell them you did it. If they come and ask you, was it you? You can just say, no, but my boss asked me where you live. Something like that. He said he owed you some money. Well, your boss. Why you want to know all that, man? Did he pay you what he owes you or not? He said he owed you money. I told him this way he could go to find you. Did he pay you? And if he says no, then you know he's a lying mother cuss word. And if he says, yeah, or he tells the full truth, he paid and he didn't even owe me, I don't even know your boss. Okay, well then at least the person's telling the truth. You helped out, your conscience is clear, but you don't have to let them know that they can take advantage of you. But we cannot afford a sympathy about which others know and will try to exploit. Now that we cannot afford. That's very true. You know, we black folk don't want everybody else hurt and dying and being gunned down for not being us the way the white supremacists want everybody gunned down for not being white. We just don't want them taking advantage of us and disrespecting us. And that's fair. That should actually be our attitude towards Palestine. Okay, yeah, we do sympathize. But we don't sympathize with, let's say, the Pakistani imam that keeps talking about Palestine, but he doesn't care nothing about the Central African Republic or Burma or the Congo, where the Muslims are too. Why? Well, it's simple. If you talk to Palestinians, they actually do sympathize with other people that are suffering. Believe it or not, even if they don't like them. They sympathize with people that they call abid, meaning slave. Yeah, some of the people that they call slaves, some of our people that they call slaves, they still sympathize with and actually would try to raise awareness of their plight. It's crazy like that. That's why I tell y'all that Arab white supremacy is really insane because it's subconscious. That's why I try to tell y'all that. And it's hard for many of you to believe. You are safer here. Black Nigerian or Black American or anything else, you are safer here than you would be in the States. That's true. And you are better off being black here than most people from Bangladesh are over here in this country. It's a hard thing for many people to imagine. Many of us can't imagine that. But no, being black is not at the bottom over here. If you call a black man a Bengali, he'll beat your behind. And he won't even hurt somebody from Bangladesh. But he's like, he knows what that means. Slap the black off of you. Keep that up. Now you call a Bengali man black, and he'll look at his arm and say, thank you. I know. A lot of you don't know this. A lot of you are shocked to hear this. Anyway, what you need when it comes down to the attitude towards the migrant, it really there's one attitude that we do need, and that is where we can sympathize because we're human, but we don't necessarily let them know it. Palestinians are a bit different. You can sympathize with them and you can let them know it, but you can't let necessarily their other sympathizers know it because their other sympathizers would not sympathize with them if they were black or brown or browner. They wouldn't do it. But no, believe you me, they wouldn't. When you meet with Palestinians, generally Palestinians themselves do understand. A Palestinian journalist will raise awareness of the Congo and the CAR because she has an idea what they're going through. You might have a Pakistani journalist who talks about Palestine all the time, and that's just because he looks up to the Arabs, white Arabs. He don't give a guck about the Burmese, Rohingya, or because they're dark. He don't care nothing about the Central African Republic. He may not know about them, but if he does, he forgets anyway. Congo, he don't feel a cuck. Anyway, that's what I wanted you all to know about the migrant situation. There's one other thing I'm going to tell you guys about briefly, if I may, and that is that there is a reason for which many of you may be used. Maybe. Most of you probably won't be, but there's a reason for which some of these ladies might try to use some of you. And it's not really that malicious, but it's a benefit that goes beyond money. It does affect their bottom line later, but there's a way that some of them might try to use you to be able to get their own money without trying to use you for your money. A lot of you may not realize that, but I'll tell you what it is. Some of these women, and I don't mean that they mean this maliciously per se, but some of these women are looking at you and they're saying, well, English is your first language. You understand everything exactly. If I get with you, I can improve my English and become good enough for other positions and jobs and things like that. That's true. There are going to be ladies that have that mindset. There are going to be ladies that think if I live with you, I can work on my English. Some of you are going to have ladies that may want to marry you and they may want to live in the U.S. just for a while. I'm still not recommending it because that can change, but they'll want to live in the United States just for a while. Because, or Canada, or the UK, just so that what they can do is they can get better at English, fluent, then go back to their country and with their fluency in English become more employable. They're not really looking to use you for your dough, but they're looking to use you to become more employable. I would still say that you do not accept the notion of living in an English-speaking Western nation for a long stretch of time for one reason. I would say don't do it for this reason. If you perceive that that's what she's trying to do, then agree to live in an English-speaking but not first world nation for a while instead. Here's why I say it. If you mess around and you take her to a first world nation like the UK or the US or Australia as an example, hell, the Anglophone Caribbean, don't get me started. You take her there, this is what winds up happening. Her plans change. The women are going to change, you already know. But even if she was not planning on staying for a long time, there are two things at stake here. One, she may change her mind. Number two, she doesn't have to stay there for a long time. She may get all she wants and then still decide, yeah, but you know what, these women have affected me and I don't see this man the same way. So I can now I got the U.S. passport. I still want to go back home and do that thing, but I want to do it without him because I just don't see him as being that guy anymore. Because you see, in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, New Zealand, and the Anglophone Americas in general, you and I are almost never that guy. Even if you are Stefan Urkel, shouts out to Manosphere Highlights Daily for his coverage of this. Even if you are Stefan Urkel, then you're self-absorbed because, and this is part of what reinforce that stereotype. You can't be Stefan Urkel and also appreciate that woman. And if you appreciate her, then you're not Stefan Urkel. You're right back to being Steve Urkel. That's the psychosis that these broads have. And that lady that was a nice lady and treated you well and liked you in her home country will get to the States, and in 3 years, you won't be her type no more. It'll be about whatever you don't have, the muscles you don't have, the money you don't have, the height you don't have. It'll be that. And I even had to tell my son, look, I realize y'all got a plan for her. I realize y'all got a plan for her to go live in the States. But the thing that's different in my son's case is that we already know the environment in the states in which she will live and how long they'll be there. The other thing, too, is that in the event that she decides to get fresh out of control, we do have something in place that's going to make it too expensive for her to try to penalize my son. We do have that. And there are also going to be certain ladies that are there that, I mean, we already know the ladies that she's going to be around, and those ladies they're not going to tolerate it. Truth be told, the reason is that my son actually, there are some women that are going to be on my son's side to defend him in the event that she decides to change and become a neck rolling, finger snapping, eye rolling hyena. That has a lot to do with it. And even then, it's only for a short time. And I done already told my son, and Simba knows exactly what to look for. And we have a contingency plan. She starts to show changes. These are the things we do. Y'all, you vacate the states early. And this is all after she actually does not want to go. She wants to visit. She does not want to actually live. This is not something she wants to do. And ironically, it works out that she might have to. But I want you guys to know that, and what you guys have to take from this is that some of you will not start off being targeted to be used for your money, but for your skill in English that she can then use to earn more money. See, there are jobs in a lot of these countries that require you to be bilingual, but they still want you to be a citizen of those nations. That happens a lot. If you want to teach English in a school in Saudi Arabia, a government school where the salaries are pretty good, you have to be a citizen, but you got to be bilingual. And I ain't gonna lie to you, a lot of the citizens are not correctly bilingual. Most Saudis, even if they're English teachers, are going to F English up. Matter of fact, most of the teachers are not as good in English as the engineers are. The engineers are generally pretty good in English. They'll speak English correctly, but the English teachers, oh my God, that subject verb disagreement, using a verb be in front of another verb, but not in front of nouns and adjectives and locations where they belong. And they don't make corrections either. You tell them, hey man, that's not wrong. And they don't stop. That's another talk for another day. My students now currently are like that. I've had to be a straight jerk with some of them. Yesterday, I had to, not yesterday, day before yesterday, Thursday, I had to give them a speech about how unprepared they were. And I had to bang the table and tell them, stop using full sentences in Arabic during my English class. You do that again, you're late. Do it a second time, you absent. And when I'm trying to start talking about why they do it, and I told them, stop, man. Don't tell me why you do it. Quit doing it. I gave you permission to ask for the translations of individual Arabic words into English as long as the question was in English. I gave y'all permission to do that. If you forget the English word pillow, fine. You can say, what does mukhadda in English? Okay, that's pillow. Now finish the sentence with the word pillow. I gave y'all permission. You all started taking license and started asking a full sentence in Arabic, how do I say mukhadda in English? And then you want to know why your attendance is up. I told y'all to stop it. Don't tell me why. But doctor, we're Arabs. I don't feel a gawk, bruh. This is an English class. Your English is jacked up. This is an advanced English class, and you're not qualified for it. Somehow you got here anyway. Well, I'm giving you a chance to catch up. You know what the other option is? I send you back to intermediate. And you repeat that again. Those are your only two options. I had to be a jerk with them. And an advanced English class, and they coming in with something in between beginner and intermediate level English. And they're not improved. And that's the reason I made the speech. So I'm letting you know your English skill and fluency is generally an asset, even if you can't legally work somewhere to earn money with that. It's generally an asset to the citizens if they can get that. And so some ladies may see you for that. And they don't hate you or anything like that. They just, as far as they're concerned, this is the benefit that you bring, an advantage you bring. So it may not be malicious, but I did want you to understand that if you're going to allow that, just make sure that you are also getting something. If you're being used for that, make sure you can use them for something else, and y'all be honest about it. Make sure, because keep this in mind. She probably could, and here's the other thing. She probably could live with other dudes that are English speakers. Marry them. Hopefully, if y'all are living together, there's some kind of marriage according to your faith traditions. But, she probably could live with some other dude that's a native English speaker, fluent. So if she could, and she's picking you, that does mean that there's still something about you that she prefers over the other guys. Another thing, too, is that brothers, see, we are creative with English. We have our own English, and we can generally speak the formal English of the countries from which we are. So we can code switch in English at various levels of formality. That's fine. That's a good thing we have. But we don't tend to be condescending. For the most part, unless it's a joke, we don't tend to start speaking broken English to them. Now, I've heard Richie Mack do this as a joke with Elle, but I've also heard him have a serious conversation with her. I'm not saying I heard it in person, but in some of the videos. I'd like to meet Richie Mack one day, but I haven't met him. But I've listened to some of the videos, and he'll use broken English as a joke. But then when he's having a serious conversation with her about these hyenas and what they're saying about the women over there, he'll say it in regular English. See, an actual Wyatt, a lot, especially the older Wyatts who don't really believe in racial equality like that, but they like to have them a young Asian wife. Oh, they'll talk broken English, start growling when they're talking like they're in a samurai movie or some stuff. Just stupid stuff. I've worked with them over here. Start talking in broken English to their wives. They'll say, cook mayonnaise in it. Nigga, what? Wear ponytail. No, it's you didn't put your hair in a ponytail. Now, if you speak like that to her, eventually she'll begin to mirror that way of speaking. And I think that to a certain extent, some of these women do realize this. Maybe it's subconscious. I think a lot of them tend to realize that there's a difference in how they treat. Well, they know there's a difference in how we treat them versus how Zaddy treats them. That they do know. But even in a way in how we speak versus how Zaddy speaks. So that might be why it is that quite a few of them, while trying to get better in their English, prefer us. I've noticed that for some odd reason, males and females alike, various nationalities, for some odd reason, tend to gravitate towards Black English teachers. I've had Jordanians and Syrians try to tell me, well, they want a white English teacher. And I'm like, you lying mother. You lie like a dog. They love the African-American accent. And some of them love the Black British accents. Now, I can't hear a difference in the accents when Black British talk. I hear a difference in their vocabulary. I don't hear a difference in how they pronounce the words for the most part. But I do hear a difference in what they say. Sometimes I hear them use some words with a Jamaican pronunciation, and I say, okay, I don't mean Caribbean, I mean specifically Jamaican. I'm like, oh, got it. Okay. All right. So that's a bruh right there. Or that's a sis right there. Hell, I hate to say it. I can tell a Black British woman because they say, I can tell by what they say. I need a man that can handle me. Yeah. Right, bruv, isn't it? You got to be able to handle me. I need your alpha male energy because I'm masculine too. See, I got a twig and berries. As a matter of fact, it's more like a baseball bat and mangoes. Where's yours, bruv? Why is yours so small? Now, that's how I can tell you, Black British women. I know you offended. I hope you are. Stop acting like these hyenas. You let these Yankee hyenas teach you all certain things years ago. And then you let Zaddy's bitch over there in the UK and the States teach you all this stuff. And now look at you. just as bad as the American hyenas, except you wear bigger jackets because it's a little colder. And some of y'all don't even have the decency to wear big enough jackets for the cold because you are so hell-bent on showing cleavage. Y'all are terrible. That's how I know y'all when y'all talk. But yeah, I did want you all to know that sometimes you're going to be sought after specifically because of your linguistic skill. And there's nothing wrong with that. If they're honest with you about that, and they're honest with you about what they do and don't prefer about you, and they will allow you to use them for something in exchange that you find to be of equal value. If y'all are honest about it and respectful, I'm not going to knock that. Now, I'm not telling you to live with someone and you ain't married to her according to some faith tradition. I'm not going to tell you that, but I'm not necessarily going to tell you to marry in front of anybody's courthouse either. These days, wouldn't say that either, even in traditional societies, only because of how they tend to behave. Depending, you leave that up. I leave that up to you based on where you live and what the laws are, in other words. But I'm simply saying that that's one of the things that you might feel like you're being used for if you don't know that that's one of the benefits for which they're looking up front. I hope that what I said is a benefit, and I hope I didn't forget anybody in the shouts. Oh, yeah. I do want to give a shout out to Gail at night. I'm going to let you all know right off the bat that something is amiss. And I'm pretty sure that Gail is not allowed to tell everything. I'm pretty sure. But there's something that is amiss. Something's going on because now I know about some other people that are saying some similar things about a pattern that they've noticed, about not getting credit for things that they've done. I want Celebrity Podcast to get all the credit that's due to her. I really do. Queen of Accountability, I want that. But I don't want it to be for anything fake. None of us do. None of us wants it to be because of anything fake. So with that being said, I do want you all to check Gail at Night's channel if you got time. It takes me a long time to do it, and I'm busy now even on the weekends. But for those of you who got the time, I want y'all to check it out. And don't tell me later on. Tell her. Tell Gail. Thank you all for listening. As always, Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. Assalamu alaikum. Black heterosexual non-select male power just because they don't like it. And Black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. Thank you for flying with us here on Jet Black Airways, where Jet Black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.